Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. Today's review is the new Breitling Chronomat. Now I have this one on loan from Saltzman's Watches, so I'd like to shout out Richard and Saltzman's for allowing me to spend some time with this and present it on the channel. I think Breitling, they've really been moving in a good direction, especially over the past 4 or so years. And I think they're improving their catalog. I think the majority of us watch fans can see cleaner design language, more powerful designs, and a more uniform product line. And I think this updated Chronomat is, again, an example of the good direction that Breitling has been moving. And I really do like this. Now, I was intrigued when I first saw the announcement of the updated Chronomat. I thought, wow, this is bold. Look at this bullet bracelet. Look at this dial execution with the stainless polished bezel. I was really looking forward to seeing this in the flesh. Now, they've got some really fun color iterations. I'm especially drawn to the green sunray dial with the black sunken registers, but this reverse Panda version is also, this one is really sharp as well. I think there is a good selection of different colors, different dials, and I have a feeling that this product, this model, the new Chronomat, will prove to be a solid seller for Breitling. I think this was a positive move. Now let's talk details here. I'm going to put the specs, I'll put the retail price, I'll put some of the dimensions here on the screen so you guys can get a good gauge of the size and some of the features and kind of compare it to other watches, maybe other chronographs in your own rotation. And I will also place it next to my chronograph. I have the Speedmaster from Omega, the Sapphire Sandwich. So you guys can get just a quick side-by-side when it comes to size and details and level of pop and clarity. You'll notice right off the bat, Breitling, they do an excellent job with their sapphire crystals, with the amount of anti-reflective treatments that they do, the quality of that. You can see just a huge difference side by side. You can really see the details of the dial. And again, I don't want to get too much into comparing these two watches, but you guys can see there's a noticeable difference in pop and presence of the Chronomat, and part of that is just design language, and they're from different eras and they emphasize different things, but I think you guys would appreciate seeing these two next to each other. Now, retail price, that's kind of a sticking point. I know a lot of people will probably not be happy about the retail price because it is on par with Breitling's Premier. I guess I shouldn't say that word. Premier is a different line. It's on par with Breitling's most iconic line, which is the Navitimer. And I know guys that will say, well, how could I buy a Chronomat when I can buy a Navitimer for the same price? Now, fortunately, I've reviewed the Navitimer, another one lent in by Saltzman's Watches, and I can say having the two, having spent time with the two watches on wrist and in the metal, these are both done to the same degree of quality. They share the exact same B01 manufacture movement that you can see through a Sapphire Exhibition case back, which I'm a big fan of. I think that is a good move, again, on Breitling's part, to do more open case backs with their Premier chronograph, or their in-house chronograph. I should stop saying that word. Premier is the oldest line in the Breitling catalog, but we're not talking about that today. Maybe in a future video. No, I really like the fact that you can see the B01 movement, and I look at the details of the dial, the quality of the indices, the markers, the printing, the color changing effect, the crystals, the case finishing, and yeah, I can say without any shadow of a doubt, the Chronomat is on par with the Navitimer. Now, some people will want to go with the Navitimer just based on the fact that it is so recognizable. It is Breitling's signature design language. It is their most well-known watch from their product catalog for decades, and I cannot fault that one bit. But there are people that are not just not into that very busy look, and they want some more water resistance. And I think there will be customers and consumers that prefer the Chronomat. They prefer the 200 meters of water resistance, the elapsed timer on the bezel, the dive bezel. They will enjoy this really great bracelet, and we'll get to that here in a minute. And they'll also enjoy the elongated function pushers here that just add a little bit more real estate for your fingers, a little bit more, I guess you could say, pleasurable to operate and to utilize. Now let's talk about fit and presence. That is one of the highlights of a Breitling model. They always nail this with how much a watch pops and how much presence it has on wrist. Obviously this one's no exception. It looks fantastic in natural light. It looks fantastic in soft shadow and indoor lighting. It really grabs light. It grabs attention. It has a pleasant weight. The finishing on this case is great. And yeah, I just love the way this interacts with various lighting scenarios. So if I'm under a tree in soft shadow in daylight, and I can see the elevation change of the sunken registers here with the enlarged guilloche texturing, I can see the pop of the B logo. Yeah, this looks great, especially again under this excellent cambered, anti-reflective treated sapphire crystal. And then I move into a different time of day when the sun is coming down. It's twilight, it's dusk. We're getting oranges and reds and yellows coming and hitting all of the applied and brushed elements here of the stainless steel watch, and it sings. Guys, this thing looks awesome. And when you're buying a luxury watch, some guys want it to fly under the radar. They don't want it to be noticeable. They don't want to have any conversations about price with a stranger or even a loose associate or family member that comments on the watch. They don't want any attention to the watch on their wrist. And then there's other guys that, when I'm spending this amount of money, I want the compliments. I want the conversations. I want people to notice the watch on my wrist. And I think with Breitling, more so than some other brands, you're going to have those experiences because these things have serious presence, light play, and I believe the quality is apparent, it's tangible, and I hope you can see that here through these videos, through these macro shots. I hope I've been able to convey what this watch is all about so you can get a good understanding of it. Now let's talk about this bracelet as we wrap up the video here. This is one of my favorite things. A lot of you know I'm a bracelet guy. I have a thing for bracelets. It's hard for me to keep a watch that doesn't have a solid bracelet, and this one is, it's great. Very comfortable, no hot spots. With the width of these cylinders here, you do get a very nice drape. I like the brushed elements. I like the high polished chamfered edges here on the cylinders. And if I move the watch, you guys can see just how solid this is, how well constructed it is. And my wrists are 7.25 inches, and I will say that I have, I would say I have average to above average amount of wrist hair, and there is no pulling here. There are no pinching when it comes to comfort on wrists. So if that's bothering you, maybe giving you a little bit of worry before you purchase, I've not experienced one level of discomfort. And this is very rigid too. It has very little amount of side flex. The torsional rigidity is solid here, so I like it. We have a butterfly style deployant clasp here with a Breitling signature, very subtle, and I think it's nice. And overall, this is bold and it's different. And if you were alive in the 80s, the early 90s, you might remember this design. And that's always a nice thing when a brand kind of returns to elements and eras of its past, modernizes them, and continues with them. So I like the design language. I like this watch. What negative elements would I have with this thing? Well, there's only one thing that kind of concerns me, but I know it's not an issue. It's just a mental block that I have, and hopefully I can explain this well. You might have noticed in some of these macro shots that the chronograph hand has a pronounced stutter, a little bit of wiggle or wobble as it's being utilized when you see it on a macro level, more so than a different chronograph from, say, a Valjoux or a Lemania based caliber. And it's kind of weird. I'll admit, it's kind of weird to see. And you don't notice it when you're just looking at the watch on your wrist, but when you have a macro lens coming in this close, you really see that wobble, and it's kind of funky. I've noticed it on the Navitimer. I've noticed it on every single BO1 that I've ever operated. I know watchmakers, the watchmakers that I know respect this movement. So it's not going to be an issue, but it's just kind of weird. Does that make sense? It's weird on a watch of this price point. Now, are there any other negative elements here that you should be aware of if you're shopping this watch? Maybe you're cross-shopping it with the Navitimer or an El Primero from Zenith. No, I think any other negative element is going to be subjective when it comes to design or finish work or presence, when it comes to the details, when it comes to the finishing, when it comes to the fit and execution, accuracy and quality. I do not have any other complaints as a watch fan, and so I really have enjoyed my time with the Chronomat. I think this is great. And I would love to see other color versions in the future. I'd love to get my hands on that green Sunray version with the black registers. I would be open to adding this one to my collection, even over a Navitimer. And I don't know that I would have ever said that in the past, but this one definitely is on par. Very enjoyable, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my presentation. So thanks for watching today, guys. Reach out with any questions. If this is your first time here and you've made it to the end of this long rambling video, thank you. You're awesome. Hit the subscribe button if you want to join me again as we take a detailed, casual approach at looking at watches, comparing watches, talking watches. I'd really appreciate that. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you in the next video.